My wife, Emily, works at the same company as me. I'm in sales, and Emily works in human resources. We got close at the company's anniversary party, exchanged contacts, and started dating. I fell for her upbeat personality and her genuine smile. A year into our relationship, I proposed, and she happily said yes. I've always loved kids and wanted to get married as soon as possible. So, I was thrilled when she accepted my proposal. But we struggled to have children even after our marriage. Our marriage was good, but there were no signs of pregnancy, and years went by. During this time, I was in charge of a major project at work, and not having kids started to bother me less. My workload increased, and I found myself coming home later each night. I come home, sleep immediately, and rush to work the next morning without breakfast. This routine became my daily life. Work was tough but fulfilling and fun. Tomorrow, I have an important presentation with a client. Today, I was busy with meetings and preparations when suddenly, I learned something shocking. A colleague, Mike, invited me to lunch, and we went to a diner. We sat down, ordered 2 lunches, and then he looked troubled and said, "Look at this." He showed me his phone screen. There was a picture of a man and a woman sitting opposite each other at a cafe window. To my disbelief, the woman was Emily. I couldn't believe my eyes. The man was a stranger. Emily was laughing happily. Mike said, "I followed them after spotting them. They later walked into a hotel, arms linked." I can't believe this. When I heard this, my eyes went blank. There was no mistaking it in the photo. It was definitely Emily. She was cheating. After lunch, I couldn't focus on work, haunted by the image of them. When I got home, I confronted Emily immediately. "Who's this guy? Mike told me about him today." I confronted her, thrusting the photo Mike had sent to my phone in front of her. "Let's get divorced," she said coldly. "What the hell? Were you really cheating?" I was stunned. Emily kept her head down, refusing to meet my eyes. I couldn't forgive her. So, I agreed to the divorce. I didn't ask for alimony. I realized that I might be partly to blame. I had been pressuring her about having kids, but lately, I was so wrapped up in work that I hardly paid her any attention. We hadn't even had a proper conversation in a while. I guess she got fed up with me and turned to another man. But I couldn't think of starting over with her, who had given her heart to another man. Whatever the reason, it was a betrayal. Just thinking of her with another man filled me with intense anger, palpitations, shortness of breath, and dizziness. She left the house without any excuses. The next day, I had an important presentation for the project I was handling. But my mind was full of thoughts about the divorce. And I hadn't slept well the night before. As a result, my presentation was a disaster, and I failed miserably, getting dropped from the client selection. "What happened with your presentation today? It was terrible." "I'm sorry," and was removed from my role as project leader. After that, I couldn't focus on work, my mind was foggy. I even became unable to get out of bed in the morning and stopped going to work. I felt heavy, unable to do anything. I was overwhelmed with sadness and pain. I didn't care about anything anymore. Every day was a struggle. I went to see a doctor. The doctor recommended home rest, and I had to take a leave of absence from work. I tried various medications, but nothing worked, and I spent my days feeling unmotivated. After 6 months, I still couldn't bring myself to return to work, so I resigned and went back to my parents' home in the countryside, where they do farming. "You need to take it easy and rest up here. You can think about your next job when you're feeling better. You haven't been eating properly, have you? You need to get some nutrition." my parents welcomed me back. The neighbors, who I've known since childhood, were also kind to me. At first, I spent most of my time sleeping, but as I ate my mom's fresh vegetable-rich meals every day, I gradually started waking up in the mornings and began taking walks with our dog. Gradually, I started helping out with my parents' farm work. Before I knew it, a year had passed. I had learned all about farming and was considering taking over my parents' work. It was during this time. My brother and his wife, living in New York, both died in a car accident. Their 3-year-old son, now an orphan, was taken in by me as an adopted child. My 3-year-old nephew, Jake, didn't understand that his parents had passed away. "Where's mommy and daddy?" I would pick him up, comfort him, and we would cry together. Since then, I've raised Jake as my own child, and eventually, he started calling me Dad. I grew to love him so much. I realized that you can feel such deep affection even for a child who isn't biologically yours. Another year passed, and Jake turned 4. I would leave him with my mom during the day and continue working in the fields. I didn't think about Emily much anymore, but sometimes I wonder how she's doing now. Could she have remarried that man and be living together? Are they living happily? One day, our family went on a trip to a resort. In the hallway of the inn, I couldn't believe my eyes. It was the man from Emily's affair photo. There was no mistaking it. I had seen that photo on my phone countless times. But the man was with a different woman and a little girl, not Emily. What did this mean? Had he and Emily separated? I impulsively asked him, "Hey, where's Emily?" He looked surprised and told the 2 people with him to go ahead to their room before turning to me. "Excuse me, who are you, Emily?" "Oh, you mean Emily Monroe." Monroe was Emily's maiden name. "Jer, weren't you the one who remarried her?" He stared at me and then asked, "Are you Emily's ex-husband?" "Yes, I am." His expression changed suddenly. "Can we talk privately for a moment?" We decided to talk in the inn's lounge. "My name is James. I've known Emily since we were kids. We grew up together like siblings, so there's no romantic relationship between us, and definitely no romantic feelings." He said it emphatically. He insisted that the time he was in the photo with Emily, they had just met by chance and had tea together, but they did not go to a hotel. Was this man telling the truth? Then why did Mike say they went to a hotel? And why didn't Emily deny it? James continued, "Did Mike have any negative feelings towards you?" "Negative feelings? Now that I think about it, he did seem to view me as a rival." "That's right. After I was removed as project leader, it was Mike who took over as the new leader of another project. I later heard he got promoted." Could it be Mike lied about Emily cheating just to bring me down? That was shocking. I had thought of him as a colleague worthy of respect. Then, James added more. "Emily, she can't have children. She was struggling because she couldn't have children with you, and when she went for tests at the hospital, that was the diagnosis, but you wanted children. So, she thought it would be better for you to divorce her and remarry someone else who could make you happy. That day we met after a long time, she was talking about that. So, that's why, even when accused of cheating, she didn't make any excuses and instead initiated the divorce." So that was it. What have I done? I had misunderstood her cheating and unfairly blamed her. Indeed, I had always wanted children. But even if we couldn't have children, my love for Emily didn't change. I wanted her by my side. What's going on? If only we had talked it out properly at that time. If we had, things wouldn't have turned out this way. Emily was consulting me about it afterward. She was thinking about divorcing for your happiness, but even several years after the divorce, she can't move on and is still closed off. James continued. Is she still single then? James nodded in response. He then gave me her contact information. She was living at her parents' house now. Unable to stay still after parting with James, I immediately called Emily. But it didn't connect. Maybe she had blocked my number. I called her home. Then a familiar voice answered the phone. Hello, this is the Monroes. Hi, this is David. Is Emily there? It's me, Emily. David. We exchanged words for the first time in years. Emily, I heard everything from James. I just happened to see him on a trip and talked to him. I'm truly sorry. I was wrong to suspect you of cheating. I didn't realize you were struggling. I am the worst. I want to apologize. My voice trembled. Tears didn't stop. From the other end, I heard Emily sobbing. I also regret not discussing it with you and acting selfishly. I've been regretting not talking it out with you all this time. She said in a nearly fading voice. Can we try again, Emily? I hesitantly asked. Yes, she nodded while crying. But there's something different from that time, something I need to tell you. I headed to Emily's parents' house right after returning from the trip. We reunited for the first time in years and embraced each other tightly. I told her about Jake. The next day, I took her to my parents' house and introduced her to Jake. Hello, Jake. Hi. She really adored Jake. And he quickly grew fond of her too. I had given up on having children, but to become the mother of such a cute kid, I'm so happy. She said, tearing up. Hearing those words made me happy. The loss of my brother and his wife was still a shock, and the sadness hasn't healed yet. But maybe it was fate that I ended up taking Jake in. I want to raise Jake well, for the sake of my brother and his wife who have gone to heaven. I told her while hugging Emily, who was holding Jake. After that, Emily and I remarried and she moved into my parents' house. My parents welcomed her warmly. Now, we both help with my parents' farming. We're planning to rebuild our current house into a duplex soon. It feels almost like a dream that I had left the company. Speaking of Mike, the one who set me up, I heard he failed miserably in the final phase of a new project, causing great losses for the company, and was demoted afterwards. I thought about contacting the old colleague to give him a piece of my mind, but then decided it wasn't worth it. Mommy, I'm hungry. Okay, I'm cooking now. Jake has started calling Emily Mommy. These days, we're living incredibly happy lives.